something happening. She had things like something about her brother. It confused me. I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
I don't think anybody knows what's going on inside her head or whatever when she's 2+ drinks into it.
Kingdom Radio is now scheduling interviews for the 2024 season. Make sure you visit us online at whykingdomradio.com. Get busy.
So now you're arguing for it, and she's like, well, I don't know. No, she's great. I think she riffs. She's not trying to stay on topic. She's waiting for her turn at the mic so she can riff through some Coco shit.
Yeah. She's entertaining. I just get lost.
She's a fucking hoot. I was trying to do some trim work, and I had to. It's either one or the other. I had to try and follow the conversation or just get back to work. It was tough for me at times.
Man, you could be watching that like a hawk and still get lost. Like what? Because she'll change directions on you.
Oh, dude, trying to follow her is like trying to watch a rabbit at full sprint running through the woods.
It reminds
me.
She took like an hour to tell the story about how she got her call sign.
Oh God, yeah. When she brought that up earlier today, I'm like, no, like I couldn't talk. But I'm like, I don't need to hear it again.
She didn't remember telling us. She didn't remember telling us. She's like, no, we know, Coco. We know.
I know. Like, oh my God.
With her, it's like the cartoon arguing where they're like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Then they'll switch and go, no, yes, make you switch. That's what debating with her is like. What's going on, Kingdom? Your audio was real bad, real fast.
Staticky. It was like staticky.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's reverb or what. Like it's crazy sounding.
Well, he's running a setup to where he's capturing audio off of the space and then broadcasting it on there. Yeah,
or on his radio.
He's playing with some gear, I think.
The funniest is Erath, man. He was about to go unload on that anti-gunner dude. Like, he was getting so angry.
I really wanted to hear more of what he had to say, like, because I want to hear. We all have a pretty good idea of what the other side feels about gun control and AR-15s and whatever, but I still want to hear what each one of them have to say, because I need to, increase my ability to argue, or at least not argue. I don't like that term, but at least have a conversation with them and use their logic to prove them wrong is really what it boils down to.
And that's why I asked about the data. I'm like, hey, do you have any data to support your views about if banning AR-15s would stop?
Well, to be quite honest with you, he got jumped right off the get coming in. I never heard what his view was. He almost was having to defend accusations.
He didn't have a chance.
I think that's why I asked what your stance is, but we never really did get to what is. If it was up to me, this is what I would do. This is what I like to hear from folks. Like where his line was, and how much regulation is too much regulation. How much would this say? Okay, that's too far. I'd like to know what that line is with people who are pro gun control.
Yeah.
If Texas hadn't blown my cover right off the rip, I almost had a chance at Sucker and Carl for a second, but Texas had to blow my cover right off the rip. Of course, I don't blame him because I got him twice, and I got him once right off the rip with that account, and then once after he was following me, I got him again.
I need to make me some other accounts, but I don't also need to follow you as an example, because I got a feeling that had me a reserved seat in Twitmo. But no, when they argue with these gun guys, is that if it's like, okay, if you could ban all guns, which yes, we could ban all guns, okay. And I'd say I'm for that. If you can show me a ban that works. Prohibition didn't stop alcohol from flowing on the streets, just stopped law-abiding citizens from partaking. 1970s Controlled Substance Act hasn't stopped anybody that wants to use drugs, anybody that wants to traffic in drugs. It's been able to do so. In fact, it makes it more attractive as far as money-wise.
Yeah,
criminal activity.
Sure. Yeah.
So what we do that to guns, now it's even worse. It's not some dude ODing at the train station. Now it's people busting your door and blasting in your face, and there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have a gun because you're a law-abiding citizen. The guns will still be there.
Yeah, Mexico has
countries that ban. Oh, sorry.
I guess my point is, no matter how you feel about it, you don't have a solution for it. So
it's a difficult problem.
Well, there is no solution. If you look at Mexico, they have one of the strictest gun controls in the world. There's like one gun shop in the whole country, and they're run by cartels. Like, there's no solution. That's the problem with the left, is they want to jump to the end game without like steps to get there or really any solution.
Because it's an emotional decision for them.
Well, the issue with Mexico, they blame us because they say we traffic the guns to Mexico.
Well, I mean, we kind of did. The ATF.
Yeah, does.
Well, now, and I'll tell you, it goes back to the argument you guys hear me say a lot, is that I'm concerned that they're looking further, the next move ahead. If you get guns banned, then you can start, well, we're going to have to relax the Fourth Amendment. We're going to have to search because we have to get rid of them because they're so deadly. Now we have an exposed population. There we have another fear. Let's go after another amendment and give the government another precedence to step on them. That does concern me.
Well, yeah,
It doesn't concern me. It concerns me for my daughter's life. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, but the slow creep, it's always there, in my opinion.
Every right we have is protected by the second.
Well, and there's so much original documentation to support the intention of the Second Amendment too, but nobody wants to really bring that up. It's well, the Constitution says this, so they could argue what a militia is left and right all day long, but when they go and read some of the things that the founders were reading and what they used as source material, I feel it's pretty evident the purpose of the Second Amendment. Plus, you got to look at the country that they left, and that's why the reason why we have the Bill of Rights is to keep what they left from happening here.
Well, absolutely.
People in the colonies were able to have firearms until the crown come in. And the thing about it is, if you go back and look at the history of the colonies, they were pretty much left alone to govern themselves. They had their own courts with their own juries. They had pretty much everybody in the colonies. They kind of run themselves like they did after the Revolutionary War. But it was after, I think, the 7 Years' War or the 100 Years' War, 7 Years' War, whatever it was. England's in need of money, so they started taxing. And they started coming down on it. So, and then they would have they moved trials for people with crimes against the crown
overseas.
Well, they moved them onto maritime. They put them on ships and had maritime British officers try them. So they were starting to convict people. The colonies wouldn't convict anybody. It's like, no, I don't think he did it.
But I think we live in a time where, say they did come in and say, you know what, no more First, no more Second Amendment. I don't think.
Well, hold up. Actually, let me go back to my point. My point is that the last straw was when they took their weapons away, because once they took their weapons away, they couldn't resist any longer. And that's a big part of what 2A is.
Well, and that's what Concord was all about, right? That's the reason for the boiling point was Concord when they went to confiscate all the guns, and they're like, "No, we're done with this."
Well, they'd already done it with some places in North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah.
So no.
And if you look at history. No, you're so bad.
It's worse. Yeah. We heard that.
But if you look at
sound almost like something cool though, like some kind of robot or something.
Sounds like Carl on his troll account.
Yeah, that could be Carl's new modulator or whatever.
I couldn't understand what he was saying. I could hear the sound, but I couldn't understand what he was trying to say. He's trying to go in like Darth Vader incognito.
Well, you should have just come in his dark helmet.
But yeah, I think 2A is not necessarily the protector. I think it's the easiest one to target because it's the scariest one. And I go back, you just look at every big major landmark decision that come off of fear somehow or another.
My point is to say if they do come in, like, you know what, no more Second Amendment, I don't think anybody's gonna take up arms and fight. I just don't see anybody doing that.
I think there'll be a portion that do, but they're gonna be made an example of.
Well, now, if we can't pick up arms, if you pick up arms against the government as it stands now, that would be insurrection. What has to happen is that either the three branches of standing government have to fail in some manner enough that you have enough states call for a state convention. You essentially have a reset button according to the Constitution.
Right.
The Convention of States would become then basically the Constitutional Congress. At that point, whatever could be ratified by 3/4 of the states and 2/3 of the sitting Congress you can rewrite the Constitution from beginning to end. But that's where the weapons come in, and that's why I say you never have a civil war, because the military swears an allegiance to the Constitution. At that point, that constitutional Congress or convention made by the states is the government, and it is the Constitution, and they should defend that. I don't think you'll have arms insurrection, but that's what the arms are there for, is to make sure that process doesn't get interrupted.
Yeah, so I'm of the opinion that our military would, by and large, not follow an unlawful, unconstitutional order. But I also know that the founding fathers were very strongly against standing military, which is why they wanted militias. What are your feelings on that?
You're right. They didn't want a single army. Their idea of the militia system was everybody would kind of maintain their little groups of militia, and you had basically commanders on the federal level that were trained, and that was the only federal entity that would be involved in the army. And when shit kicked off, then you go join your general and go to fight in wars. And we did do that all the way up into the Civil War. If you'll notice, the units from the North that fought in the Civil War, they all come from the same towns. We used to do that. Then we realized in World War I that was a bad idea. But we did have that's the way our standing army was. I think with the way the world is now, that we need a federal standing army. Our threat is not folks are going to row up to the shores 1812 style. Our threat is it needs to be encountered. We need force projection. So I don't disagree with having a standing force, but I also say that if somebody's raised his hand more than a few times, you take that oath to heart. It doesn't say, I don't swear my allegiance to a government, a president, a general, or anybody. I swear to the Constitution of the United States. And I think if you got to the point where 2/3 of the states, or however many states it is, I can't remember, it calls a constitutional Congress and it sticks and is ratified, then I don't care who the president is. The Constitution says that I support that.
Yeah, I agree. Our position in the world.
No, brother, so bad.
But no, I agree.
Coming clear.
Our position in the world, not so clear. But no, our position in the world definitely requires us to have a standing army. And I definitely don't think, like, all my military buddies and friends and family, I should say, like they all said there's all the people they know in the military, there's no way that people would ever turn against their own citizens. But what did concern me was, I forget which speaker it was, or congressman, who suggested enlisting illegals. And I think that would be an opening, because Rome really started to fall once they started hiring mercenaries with no allegiance to Rome.
But we've been doing that. We've been doing that since at least late 1980s. After
not
you
illegal.
Wanted list. Well, no, you were a non-citizen. It doesn't matter what your status is.